in a way, we grew up in one particular place, and many of us as expats are a little bit older when we head out. And it's a little bit, you get this disconnection, you lose the people that are around you, and we take the mental health aspect for granted. And that's fine, right? It's very normal to take certain things for granted. We sometimes take our health for granted. We take our good sleep for granted until we encounter that situation. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, this was a big deal. For me, when I first moved to Spain, one of the things I noticed is that I had a lot of downtime. I had a lot of time that I couldn't fill with friends and phone calls and things. Many of my friends back in the US were on a completely different time zone. So not having that made me a little bit anxious and made me feel kind of depressed at certain times of the day. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? So boredom, depression, anxiety, loneliness, not knowing what to do with your free time, those are all fine things. Those are okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And probably one of the things that can create a lot of anxiety is when we sort of catapult that into the future and we think, I'm going to feel like this forever. When really, in fact, you just wake up one day and you feel anxious, you feel nervous, you feel stressed, you feel kind of this sense of impending doom, panic, anxiety, uncertainty, lack of confidence in yourself. Why am I even here? What am I doing here? I left all my friends behind. And it's worth listening to if that feeling persists, if on a day-to-day basis you're feeling anhedonia, which is depression, or not having any joy, not feeling any joy when you engage in certain activities, or anxiety when your heart beats kind of fast and you feel like something's bad about to happen. Those are worthwhile things to listen to when they continue for a long time. But if it's momentary things, if for a few times in the day I feel some sense of doom, I feel some anxiety, I feel some feeling overwhelmed, just sitting with that, being able to hold space for yourself with that, and not assuming that this is going to last forever, that is a very powerful skill, and that is a worthwhile skill to develop. Mental health for expats, especially when first moving abroad, to me, is all about being able to to be okay with the uncertainty, to be okay with the unknown, to be okay with everything feeling new and not having friends and being alone and not understanding the language and just trying to get everything done in that first month, in that first year, in that first few years is probably not the kind of stress that's helpful to put on yourself. Instead, to me, having a good mental health in a new country as an expat is all about reminding yourself that I wanted to do this. Or for some of you, maybe you didn't want to do this and you're forced to be there, but reminding yourself that I am here and I can make the best of it. There are other expats who are here and they're making the best of it. They're having a good time. Maybe I can connect with some people. Perhaps it can be online, perhaps it can be in person. Reminding yourself that right now there are so many things that I could be doing that I enjoy, and finding that out for yourself. Sometimes that's one of the best things about being an expat. You didn't know you like reading books. You didn't know you like listening to audiobooks. You didn't know you like listening to music. You didn't know you like to make music. You didn't know that you like writing. You didn't know that you like cooking. You didn't know that you like exercise, yoga, Tai Chi. That is probably the cornerstone of mental health, understanding that we are at the center of it and we can create, unfortunately, suffering around those topics. We can make ourselves suffer because of some of the thoughts that we have, some of the fears that we have. And by actually trying to reframe how we feel, we can suddenly get rid of all of that. I remember I had moved to Seville, Spain. And I was there and I'd rented an apartment and I had signed a long lease, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm signing this long lease. It was not a cheap apartment by any means, at least for Spanish standards. And I was like, I don't have any friends here. And all I do is go to the rock climbing gym and I go to the coffee shop and I feel awkward there. I can't communicate with anyone. I didn't know any Spanish back then. And then I remember I was looking out my window and This lady on another side was smoking. There was a couple walking by, and a bunch of people in the corner bar having a blast. And my attention immediately went to them. Like, there are people who are having a good time. Everything's fine. Like, inside of me, everything was bad, right? I was feeling all this anxiety and stress and doubt and homesickness. And outside, people are living their life and they're okay. And I was like, am I a bad person? No. Am I funny? Yeah, I can be. Do I have a good attitude? Yeah, I try to. So then it shouldn't be, there should be no reason that I cannot find friends. So there should be no reason. And there should be no reason for me to think the thoughts that I have. And that immediately got me to be like, hey, you know what? Everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. I remember I went and cooked something, and then I laid down, took a nap, and then I did some, watch some videos and stuff, and that kind of made me just perk up a little bit. I went for a long walk, and the feeling disappeared, and I didn't feel that again. So mental health, one aspect is to recognize that some of the feelings we have is just temporary, and it probably will go away. And another aspect of it is to recognize when something persists, when you do feel depressed, when you do feel anxious, when you do feel hopeless, right? Those are things that probably are worth addressing with a loved one. If you have a good close family member, a good close friend who can listen to you and not just try to give you advice and not just try to maybe tell you that it's all in your head, and they can just listen and maybe tease some things out, that's the right person to go to. If not, a mental health expert, absolutely reach out to somebody who is a psychologist, a mental health expert of any sort, a physician, somebody that you connect with, whom you trust, to just talk about your feelings. Maybe you need medications, maybe you just need some supplements, maybe you need more sun exposure, maybe you need better sleep, maybe you need exercise, right? It could be any of those things. But not assuming that it is the end of the world or the worst thing is so powerful, especially for expats who are dealing with new emotions, with feelings, with uncertainty. And kind of wrangling that is a challenge. It can be a challenge. I'm here in Spain now, and I feel for the most part it's great. It's been good. I'll have days when I feel bored. I'll have days when I feel anxious. I'll have days when I'll have doubts. But they're far and few in between. And for the most part, when I start focusing outside of myself, I start seeing all the great things that the reasons I chose to be here. And that usually helps kind of put me back on track. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you're dealing with, what you're experiencing. And I hope that you can reach out to someone, right? A new expat, somebody that you meet, somebody new, even a student or anyone that's new to your area that might need some talking to, and share some of these thoughts with them. And I hope that can be both helpful to you and to them. If you guys have any suggestions on future content that you'd like to learn more about, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. Dr. Mo, take care.